Hey guys, welcome back. Now, is October going to be the month that crypto finally explodes higher? Well, that is the topic of this video. It's no secret that the last 6 months has been pretty brutal. Whether you're just in Bitcoin watching as it slowly fades lower, or in altcoins that have taken a much bigger hit. Well, the good news is that this big correction may finally be coming to an end, and it all has to do with one glorious word: liquidity. And so in this video, we'll be covering what is going on with liquidity and why everything could be breaking out as soon as next month. Then we'll look at the 2 Fed mandates and make sure they have everything they need for rate cuts and liquidity injections. And then we'll finish with why October could be the month that it all turns around. Okay, so first up, something very exciting has just happened with the global money supply and liquidity, which may mean that this big correction is finally coming to an end. And so, as mentioned, something very exciting has just happened, and it's to do with the global M2 money supply. And shout out to Real Vision for the latest data on what's going on with liquidity. So this chart goes back to 2014, and it's pretty correlated to the crypto market. When global M2 is increased, crypto also increases. When money gets drained from the system, we do see crashes in crypto. This was the last consolidation before the big breakout here, and then we've now contracted the money supply and been going sideways for almost 3 years. And finally, as you can see, global M2 has just broken out of this wedge pattern. So is this the sign that things are about to change? And when we look at it from total liquidity, it's a very similar picture. Pretty much an identical chart. It correlates to the crypto market. For the last almost 3 years, liquidity's either been sucked out of the market with a nice downward trend, and global liquidity too has just broken out. And here we can see exactly how this correlates total liquidity to the Bitcoin price. So this line here is the first breakout, and this takes us back to 2015. And after the long consolidation, as liquidity got sucked out of the market, crypto too came crashing down, consolidating, and this is where it had broken out. And then this is what happened to Bitcoin and crypto, kicking off a monster rally. Same here, this was the last consolidation, 2019, and this is where it broke out of the wedge here. And if we take COVID away as an anomaly, then we would have seen a rise in prices directly as well. In fact, as it contracted here, this is what actually correlated with what happened with COVID. But aside from that, money printer go burr, and crypto went on its next monster rally. Bringing us on to today, this, as discussed, was the almost 3 years where money's been sucked out and gone down, and we've just had this breakout. So if history repeats, then we're about to start the next big rally in crypto, likely taking us past the key level of $100,000. Now, when it comes to the Fed, all eyes on the Fed, especially today, marking the first rate cut. Their dual mandate is for stable prices, so they have to have a low CPI inflation, and then their other mandate has to do with employment, making sure the vast majority of people are employed so they can't have unemployment getting out of control. And as far as CPI goes, we've had some really good news. Firstly, this, let's say, blue line is inflation data from the 1940s to the 1980s, and it's taking a 5-year average. So what happens on average in bursts of inflation? As you can see, it's a nice bell curve, and as it peaks, this is typically what happens. And this chart is basically just saying we're pretty much following what typically happens with outbursts of inflation and disinflation. This time it broke just above 9%. We've been getting pretty much lower readings most of the time. And then this is predicting that the average will take us even lower, and it's going sub 2%. So that is really, really good news, because if it's sub 2%, it means Jerome Powell and the Fed can turn on the money printer as and when they like. So sub 2% is what we all want if we want crypto to explode. When we flip to Trueflation, which is actually real-time inflation tracking, we can see the last CPI reading was actually in August. It's always a month behind. Although the government reported one was 2.5%, Trueflation was saying that it's closer to 1.5%, but one of the key things I'm looking at is that what we should expect in September. And if Trueflation is correct, then we should also see another drop in inflation, getting us even closer to this 2% mark, maybe by next month's reading. So inflation is definitely right now under control, and that's a great sign to enable the Federal Reserve to use the money printer once again. And then its other mandate is making sure unemployment doesn't get out of control. By keeping rates higher for longer, you are making it very difficult for businesses to grow. And if businesses are struggling, that means they likely aren't employing a lot of people and maybe letting people go. So by keeping rates up, that's great for inflation and getting CPI down, but the problem is that it starts to create unemployment. And this is what has most recently happened. It's beginning to shoot up, meaning they have to cut rates now. Now, as a rough benchmark, they don't want unemployment going much higher than 4%. And right now, it's just blasted by that mark. So this is a warning sign from the Fed and why they must begin cutting rates. All good news for crypto prices. Now, anyone who's familiar with the work of Raoul Pal knows he's been talking a lot about the banana zone. And this is a nice chart showing what happened in the different cycles. He's talked a lot about we're being stuck in the boring zone, which is this nice consolidation before the final part of the 4-year cycle. The most exciting part, and what we've gone through is almost a 30% haircut for Bitcoin. And if we look back 30%, it was pretty much about 30% here. This is closer to 40%, 20%. So even though as annoying or painful as it was, what we've just gone through over the past 3 to 6 months is something that crypto keeps doing again and again. It's nothing new. And if history repeats, this will be the final big buying opportunity before prices skyrocket higher, and we'll never see Bitcoin as low as this ever again. When it comes to cycles, this time they've started the data from the last 3 halvings. So we had the halving of 2016, the halving of 2020, and the halving of 2024. And what this basically shows is that right now, measured from the halving, we are pretty much exactly where we should be. It should be below the two previous cycles, the past two previous cycles, this has always been a turbulent time following the halving. It doesn't just explode here, but we are entering the period right now where things are about to get tasty. And then the other interesting thing I saw on this chart is that the 2020 cycle is actually higher than the 2016 cycle. And I think due to what happened in COVID, where the Fed and liquidity got injected at the biggest pace that we've ever seen, the 2020 run was just epic. So I personally don't think we're going to be close to keeping pace to what happened in 2020. However, it doesn't really matter as crypto prices are destined to be going much, much higher. And finally, the last two charts to wet your whistle, this time global M2 and how it relates to Bitcoin. But this time M2 with a 10-week lead. And this is predicting that we are about to break out. Hence, crypto about to explode. And this basically says that it's September that should be the transitional month, ending this horrible 6 months downward action. And from October, if this is correct, we should see 3 to 6 months of a massive rally in prices. So very exciting. And this time global liquidity with a 10-week lead, essentially showing the same thing. So this is where we're at right now, about mid-September, but it is September where it should be bottoming out. And from October, maybe even from right now, this is predicting global liquidity will be breaking out, and typically crypto prices follow suit. So very exciting times, but just know we do have to get by September 1st. So not long to go now. With today marking the first Fed rate cut, happy rate cut day. Is October going to be the month that it all turns around? As we saw, global liquidity, as with the global money supply, has just broken out after going sideways for almost 3 years. We've been getting great results from the CPI, which has come down all the way from 9% to now 2.5%, and Trueflation predicts that it's going even lower. Unemployment is rising fast, which is a warning sign from the Fed and its dual mandate. And finally, seasonality and the most recent charts from Raoul Pal suggest October could be the month that it all begins to turn around as we go on the next big bull run in crypto. So there you are, guys. Hope you enjoyed. Now, who else is feeling bullish for October? Let me know below. However, just remember to get rid of 100% of the comment spam and trading bots that plague YouTube comments. We are trying out the new SuperThanks Commenting system. So to get your question or comment read and replied to, or just to say thanks, then use Super Thanks below. And for now, just to say, if you did enjoy anything in the video, then drop a like, and a big thank you to everyone who does, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.